Alright, so let's get into my top 10 albums of the year. I'm sorry I'm coming out with this a little bit later than I planned on doing, but yeah, it's fine. I'm gonna get right into this, but real quick, I just wanted to say that there's a couple albums this year that I never got around to checking out, and just going off of what people have said, I feel like that I might have missed out. I definitely have probably missed out on a few really good albums this year, as well as really good songs that could have been in my top, but I never got around to them because I suck at recording. One of those is Periphery, the new Periphery album. The other one is the Aviations album. The Movements album, I kind of feel like I might I don't know about that one, to be honest. There are a few more, but I'm definitely going to be getting into those this year. I'm going to do them anyway, of course. And all of these, except for two of them, I have a video up on my channel for. So, yeah, let's get into these at the first one, number 10. I don't think anyone's going to be surprised with this one. I have to mention it, even though I haven't really gone back to it in the last few months. But, yeah, this is it. Alright, I know everyone's going to have this on their top 10, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Take Me Back to Eden was a really good experience. I think The Summoning, Vor, and Euclid are some of the best songs I've heard this year. Just absolute masterpieces. The rest of the album, however, I haven't come back to all that often, and some of the songs I haven't listened to at all. Are You Really Okay made me cry when I listened to it on the channel for the first time, and I never listened to it again. But yeah, I had to put this on my number 10, man. I think some people might be a little bit surprised that this one is this low. It is top 9 though, so I mean it's definitely not low or anything like that. The mix is phenomenal. It's actually like one of the best mixed albums I've ever heard. Like it's so clean to listen to and so smooth to listen to. I love the guitar throughout it, of course. The vocals it's beautifully done. There's just a couple songs on here that I don't really come back to, so it's not going to be in my top 3 or top 5 or anything like that, but I just didn't enjoy it as a full album experience as much as The Death of Me. But yeah, it's a top tier metalcore album. Holy fuck, this album, man. I didn't check this one out too long ago, so I haven't had that long with it. But, I mean, The Gray by itself is enough for this album to be in my top 10. I mean, this album completely blew me away vocally, instrumentally. It sounds amazing. Yeah, this album completely blew me away. I'd never heard Tesseract before this year. This is the first time I ever heard Tesseract before, and I really can't wait to get into the rest of their discography. This album is on another level, dude. This one I heard more recently than Tesseract, but this one is really special. Like, it immediately was very emotional to me. The Tesseract one didn't connect with me very emotionally, but this one really did. It was super nostalgic. Tons of really early 2000s and like 2010s synths and everything just flowing throughout this. And like Reconnect is just such a beautiful song as well, super proggy. Yeah, there was really heavy parts of this song, of this album, and also really beautiful parts. Each song was really different, very unique. And yeah, this was a really good album. I also never heard Veil of Maya before this year either. This is the first time I ever heard Veil of Maya, except for the song The Outsider, or just Outsider. That's the only one I heard besides for this album. So yeah, this was really awesome. Can't wait to get into their discography either. This next one is the first one that I actually haven't got a video for. So yeah, just letting you know if you try to look that up.
6 foot deep and so from me when you got what you want, but not what you need. If the devil don't get no sympathy, get up off your knees.
So yeah, Void of Vision completely blew me away this year with this album. This album is incredible. It's super industrial, it's super electronic, very heavy. Some of the best vocals I've ever heard. Just really simple, but so good and really catchy, really good flow on the vocals. And yeah, seeing them live as well. I got to see them live with Invent Animate, and they were so good. First time I ever heard them live, and yeah, this album just kind of fucking, I don't know. It's on another level, man. And you got to kind of get into it. I wasn't sure about them at first, but yeah, it's super catchy, and I love the vocals. And I think they have a couple singles, an EP or something, and one other album that I need to listen to. I haven't really listened to anything except for this album and Angel of Darkness, but they're fucking really good. Some of the best genre mashing that we got this year, and there was so much genre mashing, dude. So this album like made my year basically. This came out of nowhere. They didn't announce it or anything like that. But yeah, Thrice did a complete re-recording of their 2003 album, The Artist in the Ambulance, which is one of my favorite albums ever. It's really nostalgic as well, and yeah, it's a beautiful album, man. You might have seen it in the background of my videos. I don't know. I have it on vinyl though. But yeah, it's not a remaster. It's not a remix or anything. It's a complete re-recording. So yeah, I'm gonna include it on here because it's technically a new album. It really feels a lot different. They've grown so much as a band. Like, I mean, insane amounts as a band. Like, completely different vocals. Yeah, it's very, very, very different. Completely different vibe to the original. But yeah, it's one of the, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. Just Thrice is one of those bands that if you start listening to them, you'll never stop. And this is the other album, the only other album that I don't have a video for on the channel. I did check out the single that they released for this album. It literally came out the same day as the album, I believe. They did Under a Killing Moon, but they had Sam Carter come in at the end and do a couple screams with Dustin, and it was pretty cool. But I have only a video for that song, and not the album. I just listened to the album by myself. Alright, this album I really loved start to finish. I especially love the first 7 songs on this. The first 7 songs are just fucking incredible. Those last few songs, as I said in the video, I didn't feel like they flowed as well with the album. The beginning just flows so well, those first 7 songs, and then yeah, just those last few, they don't really flow quite as well, so that kind of knocked down a little bit. But like, if those first 7 songs were an EP, it would be the best EP of the year. It would beat Spiritbox, it would beat Carmen Jaka, you know what I mean? It would be the best EP of the year. And there's a ton of emotion in this. It really, really connected with me, especially the like ambient parts. There's a lot of things that are reminiscent of Loathe, especially with like the clean vocals and the synth in the background, the atmosphere. But yeah, there's some super heavy moments on this as well, and they all have a very emotional impact when you listen to it. This is such a good album. I really got to check out the rest of their discography. I've heard a couple of their songs for years now, but I've never really checked out their any full albums by them, and this was the first one, and I was pretty blown away, man. All right, we're at top 3 already. I'm going pretty slow because it's almost 7 a.m. and I haven't slept, so yeah, sorry. Real quick though, I'm gonna mention a couple of albums that I really wanted to mention in this video. The first 2 are actually EPs, which is why I didn't include them in this list. And yeah, those 2 EPs are Carmen Jaka, Ancient Skills, and of course Fear of Fear by Spiritbox. Both of those were incredible EPs, but both had like a song that I haven't really came back to, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's not why they weren't added or anything. They're just EPs, they're not albums, so yeah, I wanted to mention those because those were also incredible releases in this year, and some of my favorite music that I've checked out this year. The next one is the 20th anniversary edition of Linkin Park's Meteora. I feel like this is a really, really awesome album. I love the Hybrid Theory 20th anniversary, and yeah, there's a lot of emotions in this. I didn't check this one out on the channel or anything, but I did check out Lost, and it made me cry, so... But yeah, Linkin Park is a really special band to me. I got into them when I was like 7 or 6 or something like that. I would have been like 7 or 8. It was whenever New Divide was on the radio, so I was like 7 or 8. But yeah, super obsessed with all their music. I know every single album, every single song. I know all the demos, and even more demos now that we got those. So yeah, really special album. The other one is Hope's Fall, The Satellite Years 2.0. So this is a remastered, remixed version of their 2002 album, The Satellite Years. This is a super nostalgic album as well, super like hardcore progressive stuff, and yeah, very spacey, and yeah, it's a beautiful album in my opinion. I love Hope's Fall. This remix, this remaster is one of the best I've ever heard. It just simply made it less compressed and really spaced everything out, and just made it sound a lot more open. And they did a great job on it. All right, now that we got those out of the way, I just wanted to mention those. Here's my top 3. Yeah, this album is incredible. I love it. I don't care what you say about it. I don't care if you think it's muddy, if the mix is too distorted. I don't give a fuck. I think this is one of their best albums. It's definitely better than The Way It Ends. Listen, The Way It Ends is still mind-blowing. It's still incredible. It's still just fucking amazing. Their best songs are on that album. Some of their best songs are on that album. It's just, as a whole, I definitely like The Death We Seek more. I'd rather listen to that album start to finish than The Way It Ends. I really felt like this was a return to the way Currents sounded before The Way It Ends, because The Way It Ends, it's a lot different, in my opinion, from their other stuff. There's a lot of, I don't know, it's very different. Some of their best songs ever are on that album, though. Like The Way It Ends is still like a top tier, like 9.6 out of 10 album. Like Better Days, Second Skin, Kill the Ache, Poverty of Self. But there's a few songs on that album that I haven't really listened to in a long time. But yeah, the Death We Seek, on the other hand, there's only Gone Astray, I think, is the only one that I haven't really come back to that much. Oh yeah, and Beyond This Road. But I think there's like 4 on The Way It Ends that I haven't really come back to. I love how dark this album is. It has some of their best choruses of all time on this album. I wasn't a fan of a few of the choruses on The Way It Ends, except for Gone Astray. I know people love that song, but I personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that one. That one is the only one that I'm not too into. Beyond This Road also, I don't really like the lyrics on the chorus, but that's literally my only complaints here. The Death We Seek is one of my most listened to songs of all time. Unfamiliar, So Alone, Over and Over, Remember Me especially. It's their most atmospheric and their most emotional album since The Place I Feel Safest, which is still my favorite album by them. Forget Me is my favorite, so Remember Me, I feel like is a like part 2 to Forget Me. I just really want to make it clear that I love The Way It Ends. I really do. Please don't think I don't. It's still like the 3rd or 4th best album of 2020. So yeah, it's kind of surprising that there are 2 that beat this album. And I didn't think The Death We Seek was in 2nd place for a very long time, and I'm very surprised that it was beaten by this next album, but it was, and I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? Yeah, the first time I heard this album, I think I was like speechless at the end, at just how beautifully composed the entire album as a whole is. I haven't really come back to this album for individual songs that much. I want to listen to it start to finish, because individually there are a couple songs that I don't really come back to, you know what I mean, individually, but I will never not listen to this album as a whole. This is definitely one of those albums that needs to be experienced start to finish, you know what I mean. It is a journey. There's so many sounds throughout this, so many unique songs. Each song is very different. It's their most experimental of all time. Some of the best album art they've ever had. Like the second best album art of the year, really. Second or third, it's really up there. But yeah, the lyrics throughout this, the concepts are so well done. Just the atmosphere, the emotion, the consistency throughout this album is extremely impressive to me. Yeah, it's their most beautiful album, I think. It's their most beautiful album since The Night God Slept Redux, I'll just say that. But yeah, I love this album so much. This album is also very reminiscent of Loathe, which I really love, especially because they haven't been releasing any music. They probably will this year. I really hope so. This kind of filled that void that I had, just craving more things that sound like Loathe, but it's very unique. It's very different. It's not like Loathe, I Let It In and It Took Everything Part 2. It's not that at all. The really cathartic lyrics and the beautiful choruses on Current's album I personally like more, but this is a whole album beats The Death We Seek, I think. Collider is one of the best choruses of the year. The Overgrowth is extremely cathartic and is very, very Silent Planet with the spoken word. And yeah, the last song on the album, Super Bloom, is gorgeous. Just a fucking beautiful song, very similar to Loathe and like Deftonesy, but definitely very unique, something I haven't really heard before at the same time. And the ending loops back into the first song, Lights Off the Lost Coast, which basically sounds exactly like the album art looks, and the way the album art looks is just incredible. I love like the alien references and how spacey it is. I just love the concepts throughout this album so much. Anyway, here's my number one pick. It's not very surprising at all. This album's been in the back of my videos since the vinyl arrived. Yeah, it's the best album of the year. It is. They've been my favorite band since late 2020, and yeah, I still think Graveyou is their best album. It definitely has the most variety, and it's very technical. But this album is so consistent throughout with its sound, has some of the most beautiful atmospheric sections I've ever heard in music. The lyrics, the vocals, the guitar, the bass, the drums, everything is perfect on this album. It flows beautifully. It was the best concert I've ever been to as well, the Heavener tour. If you missed out on that really sucks. Yeah, Graveyou is my personal favorite, but this I think is their best album. Just the concepts, the lyrics. I don't know. Inva Animate is a very special band. If you don't get them, I don't understand how you don't, but it did take me a few listens, especially for their older ones like Everchanger and Still World. But once I got it, it was just like life-changing, genuinely. Like their first two albums, and then their most recent two albums, and the Sun Sleeps As If It Never Was EP. Yeah, very life-changing albums in my opinion. And if you really get them, they become your favorite band immediately. Like there's no way around it. It was really difficult picking my top 40 songs of the year, because honestly, the top like 9 would be Inva Animate songs. So yeah, that sucked to pick. And of course it's their biggest album, because I mean it's their new album, but also most of the reactions that I have watched in reviews and stuff, they just couldn't get into how technical they were on the first listen, so they kind of restrained themselves in that way. It's definitely still very, very prevalent on the album, but it's a lot more palatable and consumable for a larger amount of people, I think. But it is still definitely a very unique album. I've seen some comments saying like, "Oh, I've heard this a million times." No, you have not. They're mixing like Thal ambience with prog metalcore, especially Stillworld and Greyview. Those two albums are so unique. I've never had albums impact me in that way. But yeah, there was basically no chance of another album beating this one. And I thought that there was no chance of anyone beating Currents as the second place. But yeah, Silent Planet kind of went in there. Maybe objectively, Currents is number 2. But just going off of full albums as a whole, this is my list. I should be coming out with a top 40 songs pretty soon. But I wanted to get this one out. It's way longer than I wanted it to be. I've been recording for almost an hour, which is insane. I did not think it was going to take this long. It's okay though. I'll try and edit it down. Yeah, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe so you can go on the journey with me throughout 2024. There should be some really good albums coming out this year. Hopefully Loathe at least drops a single. We should get some Northlane. Yeah, tons of bands, and of course a ton of albums that I missed in 2023 and before that, anytime before that as well. So yeah, of course, comment what you want me to check out first. I'm gonna definitely be doing Darko US's 2022 album. And yeah, I have a couple things lined up, but yeah, of course, suggest. I do album polls over on my community tab. If you're interested in that, definitely subscribe so you don't miss those. And yeah, all of those full album reactions are on the channel except for those two, The Artist in the Ambulance Revisited and Chronicles by Void of Vision. So yeah, anyway, that's basically all. I want to wrap this up. Let me know your top 10 down below if you have your top 10. And yeah, take it easy.